You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
Mission Log Prodigy, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. Episode 4, Dreamcatcher.
Welcome into another episode of Mission Log Prodigy, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. I'm Norman Lau.
And I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson, just like our flagship show, Mission Log Podcast, each week here on Mission Log Prodigy. We discuss every episode of this animated series, discover what makes them special, and see if there are any morals, meanings, or messages, and if we learned anything.
And this week, it's episode 4, Dreamcatcher, the one where the crew of the Protostar finds this planet of their dreams. Or is it? We'll find out. Please remember that Mission Log Prodigy is an in-depth review podcast. So if you've not seen Dreamcatcher yet, you may want to put us on pause for that long. And then we'll wait for that long and then watch the episode with you or without you. And then you can come back to hear us talk all about it.
And if you didn't already know, this show is on both YouTube and as a regular podcast download. So please be sure to engage the like button and subscribe to Mission Log Prodigy on the Roddenberry Entertainment YouTube channel. Please make sure to follow this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or podcast.roddenberry.com, my favorite place. Follow both, listen to both. And you can also follow Mission Log Prodigy on Twitter at ML_Prodigy. I trust you to know how to spell Prodigy.
I hope so. Did I spell it wrong?
No, you did. You just spelled it right. I was talking to the listeners.
Right. Now, before we get into the recap, this is why our podcast is so unique, Ashley. You know, this is like our favorite part. Even though it doesn't come until the end, it's our favorite part to talk about because we get to ask all of our younger Prodigy viewers and listeners what they think about the show. So please send us a 1 to 2 minute voice message at missionlog-prodigy@roddenberry.com. And in your message, please answer these questions. What is your first name and age? Did you like the episode? What was your favorite part? And what did you learn? And we can't wait to hear your comments, but we are going to actually answer those very same questions for you right now. Maybe just to give you a little bit of an idea of what we think about the episode.
I'm not emotionally prepared for this.
Are you ready for this, Ashley?
I guess. No, absolutely. I'm so excited to talk about this episode.
Okay, so the big question, well, what's your first name?
Ashley, Ashley.
And this is up to you if you want to give us your age.
I'm 45.
Okay, all right.
I look great for 45.
I can't believe you said that.
Who knows? No, you get old enough and you just lie about your age for funsies.
Okay, gotcha. So, let's see. Did you like the episode?
I did like the episode, but it comes with like a little asterisk of like a little caveat. So it's a 2-part episode. So this is basically the first half of Hamlet up until about Claudius is saying his little prayer and Hamlet overhears him. So there's a lot still to come. That's a metaphor that's definitely going to go over well with our target demographic.
You know, with some of our answers, you'd be surprised. I know. I mean, I don't know. Like, is there Y7 Hamlet? I don't know. Maybe there is out there. I don't know.
Why not? But I mean, 2- and 3-part episodes and mini arcs and maxi arcs have been a part of genre fiction and Star Trek. Star Trek was doing it before we were doing serialized storytelling across all of television. So
That's true.
I'm looking at you, best of both worlds.
Oh, right.
Right at you with that cliffhanger. If you don't know that, that's a required YouTube Google search. So I enjoyed this episode, Dreamcatcher, as much as any other first act in a larger story. I think it does a good job setting up what I hope is going to be a very exciting episode next week. So now I turn the tables on you and ask, did you like it?
I have almost a very similar answer. Like, I liked it, but I need to have it completed because I'm very OCD that way. For our younger viewers, that means that I need to have it completed. in order for me to really understand the story, because there's a lot going on. We're going to get to that later. What was your favorite part?
I literally LOL'd at the M-class planet joke when M-class, if anyone is not familiar, means that it's like Earth, right? It is habitable as we, the audience, understand a planet to be habitable. I loved the Dal joke that I only want A-class planets.
A-class planets.
It was
right.
so good. And like, it's such a simple joke, but that was, I know there's a lot more depth in story, but like, that's the thing that stood out to me the most. So when this question came up, I was like, it's gotta be the M-class planet, man. So I bet you're going to have a deeper answer than I did.
Deeper, yeah, but that's because I'm just such a softie for like little critters. So I just loved it when Gwen was cuddling Murph at the end because Murph was so scared.
It's given me very you and your Instagram stories with Lois vibes.
Yeah, I'm a big softie. I'm a big softie when it comes to like furry critters, or in Murph's case, kind of like snotty critters, but that's okay. Or Shankum said, bag of spit critters.
Yeah. I mean, not wrong, not right.
We don't know.
Wrong.
We're not sure. It's okay. I don't judge Murph. I just love him. And what did you learn? What did you learn in this episode?
I learned that a pretty veneer isn't always what it's cracked up to be. And when you live in Los Angeles, you learn that over and over and over again.
True.
That's for everyone who made the hatred of LA viral on Twitter. So what did you learn?
Well, much like any big city or any planet that is the planet of your dreams, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Preach.
Mm-hmm.
Preach.
So thank you, Ashley, for your answers. And thank you for all of our listeners who are going to be sending in their answers that we'll be listening to at the end of the show. But until then, here is this week's episode recap for Star Trek Prodigy, Episode 4, Dreamcatcher, written by Lisa Schultz Boyd and directed by Stephen Chang An and Song Shin. After escaping the gravity well of a dying star, it has been nice and quiet. Hologram Janeway decides to use this boring time, according to Dal's first captain's log entry, to train them on how to actually fly the ship, as well as teach them other things that Starfleet cadets should know, especially the awesome autopilot feature, and more importantly, how to avoid being caught by the diviner. However, a proximity alert in the Hirogen system leads our heroes towards an M-class planet, meaning a planet that is safe for humanoid life. This excites the crew because they want a break from being on the ship. Janeway encourages them to explore the planet, but Dal just wants to put as much distance between them and the diviner as possible. Janeway reminds her acting captain that by disobeying the rules for exploration, she would have to report this news to Starfleet, which helps change Dal's mind. No need to get the Starfleet adults involved. As the Protostar enters the planet's atmosphere, Dal, Rocktalk, Jankompog, Zero, and Murph are all amazed by this strange new world in all of its beauty. Kind of sticking the landing thanks to Zero, the crew is ready to depart. Dal makes sure Gwyn is doubly secure in the brig, and shortly after, Janeway equips them with brand new phasers and tricorders needed to safely explore this alien environment. Her final gift to them is the Runaway, the advanced Land Rover complete with everything needed to speed around on an away mission. However, Janeway admits that as a hologram, she cannot leave the ship, but Murph will keep her company. So it is up to the crew to look out for each other. As our crew is distracted on the planet's surface, Gwyn manages to telepathically summon her sword, which destroys the control panel in the brig, allowing her to escape. She immediately takes control of the ship, realizing that the technical skills that come to her so easily are all thanks to her father's training. Janeway tries to stop her, but Gwyn easily gets the hologram under control and forces Janeway to obey her commands. Then, Gwyn contacts Dreadnought and her father, telling them to find her in the Hirogen system. Since leaving the ship, the breathtaking wonder of the planet's surface causes our heroes to accidentally stray away from each other. Rocktalk, feeling alone and a little scared, comes across a cuddly alien life form, and after a short time, even more, which strangely don't appear on her tricorder as actually being there. Zero finds an incredibly vast garden maze which seems to go on forever, which Zero's curious nature cannot help but to explore. Jankompog's keen sense of smell finds something, also very curious, an empty shack with a pot of very familiar and delicious stew. And Dal, who has taken his communicator off, is just lost in the beauty of the open sky. This planet just seems too good to be true. Rolling around the vast landscapes, Dal sees what appears to be his parents. And after stopping to investigate with his tricorder, Captain Janeway appears and talks to him. But Dal remembers just a short time ago, Janeway said holograms can't leave the ship. So this must be a trap. And once he figures it out, the fake Janeway transforms into a tangle of spiky vines and attacks him. Speeding away from this dark and dangerous life form, Dal uses the runaway to find everyone else, who has also been trapped by the planet's tentacles and hypnotized by the kind of dreams that keep them from leaving, which is exactly what the planet wants. After freeing Zero, then Rocktalk, and finally Jankum Pog, why does Jankum Pog always last? Dal speeds all of them back to the safety of the Protostar. However, as Gwyn tries to take off and leave her captors behind, the planet's thorny fingers snare the Protostar and keep her from leaving. Gwyn tries to cut the landing gear free, but is startled by the appearance of the Diviner, free from his life support chamber, and full of pride and love at seeing his progeny once again. But she knows her father too well, and he would never be so caring. Realizing that this is yet another trap, she races back to the bridge and commands Janeway to lift off. But the planet fights back, strangles the ship in vines, and causes the Protostar to plunge back to the planet. Abandoning the ship is her only choice, as Gwyn tries to escape the crashing Protostar in the very same shuttle that she tried to escape in before. And just as she's about to take off, she spots a terrified Murph, hiding behind some crates and shivering with fear. Finally making their way back to the Protostar, Dal and his friends watch helplessly as it spins out of control while spitting out what appears to be a shuttle, which lands nearby. Dal angrily runs towards the wreckage, tears open the shuttle's cockpit, and finds Gwyn, with a saddened look on her face and cradling a shivering and whimpering Murph. And as they all stare towards the direction where the Protostar landed, all they can see in the distance is a long trail of smoke. To be continued.
Dun 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 dun.
And scene.
It's très dramatique.
Wow. I know. Were you prepared for that? Should we just jump into our observations and just ask the big question? Were you prepared for that?
No, I mean, I feel like I'm never prepared. I'm consistently wowed and surprised and moved by what Prodigy is doing, which is how I know it's a wonderful show. And the fact that it feels so fully baked. One thing that I really, really loved about this episode is Jankum Pog actually gets to like do stuff and be a person in this episode. It is really tough on any show when you have more than two or even one POV lead who needs an arc and depth and jokes and relationships and emotional satisfaction, like being a human person. It's really hard. And Jankum Pog up to this point has kind of been punchline guy. And that's the role that he's going to fill. That is totally, totally great. But I think he's been the most underserved up to this point. And what this episode in its sort of Black mercy way, what it does is we get to see everybody's insecurities, but it also does a great job at teaching you a little bit about who they are and their culture. We get to see him be a Tellarite and what it means to be a Tellarite beyond the gag of, oh, well, they insult each other and that's kind of how their culture goes. Right. And I found it really, really gratifying to watch him in this episode. And I'm not really like into Tellarites or like not my faves of all the possible alien species, but Jankum Pog might convert me. He was really fun to watch this episode.
And he actually had, I think, probably one of those, it was a funny moment. It was played for gags, but it was actually a really important storytelling moment because never, ever, 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 ever point a phaser at yourself, ever.
Yes. That's a life skill that we need now.
Right. And that's like, don't point a weapon at yourself or anyone ever unless you absolutely have to use it. That's like a huge lesson. I think that's maybe just tucked away a little bit too much because it was being used as a, a little bit more of a comedic point when he stuns himself. But that's for something like, for me, I was like, yeah, that was there. Yeah. That was a moment.
It's a very teachable moment because we are, we don't all have stun, but yeah, it's funny. But some of the best humor also does come with the morals, meanings, and messages, to use our own phrase.
Hey, now. There you go. Hey.
That's why we get paid the big bucks.
Yeah. What else you got there?
I loved seeing away missions, planet side, going
Yeah.
to new worlds and strange civilizations. It's an inevitability. It is a trope. I thought the gag of having it reflect our deepest insecurities, which are both our greatest motivators and our biggest detractors. I thought was a really smart use of storytelling by giving us, if you've ever watched anything like Star Trek, even if you've only ever seen like the '09 movie, you know they're gonna get in the shuttlecraft and they're gonna go down to the planet. So I really, every time we get something that's like, ooh, that's Star Trek, or ooh, that's a trope, or ooh, that's familiar to me, it really gets me. So on episode 4 to already be doing away missions, I was like, heck yeah, I am here for it. So I liked revisiting that.
I love how Ashley and I structure our notes because we don't really get a chance to see them like before we do the show. And just as you say, away missions, I'm like, hey, let's talk about those away mission toys, right? Because we have new
Yes.
phaser designs, we have new tricorder designs, and we have the Runaway, which I had like the most ridiculous time trying to pronounce in the synopsis, but because it's so exciting to talk about. These are new designs. These are designs that we haven't seen before yet in the Star Trek universe. And only, I would say, according to the math, maybe 5 to 6 years after Voyager returns to the Alpha Quadrant.
Spoilers.
So, I'm sorry, I know they're spoilers, but Captain Janeway's still alive. So how?
Yeah.
But does that mean that they were working on these designs all along? And now they're
Was
just
this a
being...
B'Elanna Torres design?
What? I don't know. Is she a spoiler too? I don't think so. Anyway, but they're cool, right? They're cool looking.
They're very
really
cool.
like nicely designed. They're super colorful, vibrant. I love them. I can't wait to collect all the toys, all the things. Eagle Moss, 3D printers out there. Do your stuff. Make me go bankrupt. I'm here for it always. 24 hours a day, or in
all
Deep
painted.
Space Nine's, 26 hours a day. I should say.
God, yeah, but all painted that purple color, right? That's been a fun Twitter conversation. Everyone being like, "Yes, the purple, the purple."
All the bright
Your background
colors.
today.
Yeah.
This is anyone listening, you're missing out, my friend. Norman's got a beautiful purple background.
This is why you got to watch YouTube also.
It's true.
Right?
True,
it's
true,
like a big light, like a purple lightning bolt, like going through my head. That's really how I feel about the show. It's just a purple lightning bolt going through my head. But yeah,
you're gonna go in there. You're gonna meet another captain. You're gonna make some eggs. You're gonna ride a horse. It's gonna be great.
Yep, exactly. And if you know your generations, you know that I was right on cue with that moment. Speaking of captains, Ashley, what do you have here about the captain's log?
Oh my gosh. I LOL at the M-class planet, but I fully screamed when the episode opened with the captain's log. It's basically the same kind of excitement that I talked about with the overall structure of the away mission, but I can't believe that we're already getting captain's log. Dallas terrible at captain's log, which is great. I love it. I remember saying in our pilot episode that around episode 5 was going to be the time where we were getting a lot more Star Trek familiarities dropped. And so this is episode 4. So I'm counting this as a win. But yes, I fully screamed out loud when, when he said captain's log. And I was like, oh my God, yes, please more.
Oh, yeah. Like you have all these really great details. Like I love hearing M-Class. For those of you who have not watched Enterprise yet, but maybe most of you have, I don't know. M-Class, I believe the first time we heard the actual full name was Menshara class, as said by T'Pol, who was our acting first officer Vulcan on Enterprise, right? So we're like, it has a name. I was like, what? So yeah, I know I'm excited about Menshara class, but yeah, M class.
So silly.
So cool. But you have M class, you have the captain's log, you have like these details I really dig. Seeing the shuttlecraft that Rock Talk and Gwyn fought around and still there.
And it's carried over. So we're already getting like in universe themes and repetitions, and it's so great. It's so great.
And now it feels like a truly serialized show because we're kind of like always catching up, maybe just like hours after the fact, like hours after the binary star system collapsed upon itself, hours after they just escaped the diviner, in episode 2 to episode 3. And now again, we're just like the passage of time is moving at a very connected pace, which means it's it seems like the story is going to be so compact as opposed to spread out and bottlenecked and individual episodes. I'm not sure how I feel about that yet, because I do like me some bottled episodes, but we'll see.
It's also something that you can do in animation that's a little harder to do in real life, where you have 8 days to shoot an episode. So I'm hoping that sets them aside and lets them have some compacted character development, because Gwen's got some coming, my friends.
Oh yeah.
Mark my words.
Yeah. Digging this hole, as you say.
Yes. So she is, like I alluded to me, she's obviously headed for this redemption arc, right? I guess kind of in a Garrick style, or maybe a Chakotay style, right? Where she starts on the wrong side, but winds up working for the course of good. But this is 2 episodes in a row. We're on season 3 of Prodigy, everyone. This is 2 episodes in a row where she has literally tried to abandon the rest of the crew in service for her father. And like, we know that that's the push pull. We know the diviner's going to be showing them.
Yeah.
But the growing bond between her and Murph in this episode, I thought was really, really interesting. And it's going to be interesting if he's the one who keeps her on the Protostar, if he kind of grounds her in this new existence, in this new reality.
Yeah, the pairings were interesting because Janeway said that she can't leave the Protostar because she's a hologram, but asks Murph to stay behind with her to keep her company.
Yep.
So that was like, okay, it's like we don't really see like Murph, kind of like objecting, like, sticking up like a sticky hand and saying, no, I want to go, because he doesn't talk either. But I think there was the added benefit of having Gwen see Murph as being so helpless. And I think that ties into what Rock Talk said in Star Trek, like, why didn't you help us? Like, you had every opportunity to help us and you didn't. And when Gwen saw Rock Talk like alone and afraid because of what she's been doing, I think that these particular scenes are chipping away at this very cold and trained exterior that her father has turned her into.
We also saw Rock Talk in her storyline connecting with a small, vulnerable creature as well. So I think from last episode, you posited that there might be a sisterly bond between the two. And I think this is a little subtle confirmation of that, where they have this sort of connection to small animals or cute creatures, stuff like that.
I think that they have so much love that they want to give out that love in return. I think Rock Talk, especially because she's never really had a place to put that. Well, I mean, that's not fair to say, because I think Gwen doesn't know where to put that either. Right?
But she's never been shown that love, right? Like when we see her see the diviner in his full glory, which juxtaposes kind of the more sickly, literally Denethor style man that we've seen in previous episodes. He's like really, really scary. And you had asked when we think we're going to see him again. And I think now that we've teased him in his full glory, maybe around episode 10 or so, he's going to come back, and he's coming back with a vengeance.
I mean, these things are kind of translating as some heavier morals, meanings, and messages type observations. So I think we should just change pace a little and get even deeper into this episode, because there's some deep stuff going on.
Twist my arm.
I am twisting from 3,000 miles away. 3,000 miles away. It's pretty good.
That's the power of science and friendship. Friendship, bullying,
and telepathy.
Okay, Gary Mitchell. Right. Okay, Ransom. 2 references for you there. Okay, I want to talk about, because we alluded to it a little bit before, I want to talk about emotional support slugs. Because I'm still not sure what species Murph is. I'm sure people have their theories. Please hit us with your predictions on Twitter at @ML_Prodigy. But he has really, in this episode, he reminded me of my relationship and how it's changed and grown with my cat, who has been he bears a lot of emotional heavy lifting, and he is just no concept. He just wants to be around all the time.
Yeah.
And I mean that as the highest compliment, because I would die for my cat, even though he set my apartment on fire once. And I think Gwen now would die for Murph. And it's such a small, intelligent way in the writing and the storytelling of letting this character shine And kind of like what we were talking about with Jankopog earlier, like Murph is not just a joke. He's not just like a glittery eraser that you put on top of your gel pen. That's relevant, right? Kids still use gel pens.
Sure.
He is a character with depth and value, and his arc with Gwen, because obviously she's sort of the pseudo bad guy right now. I think it really proves that everyone has something to offer, and sometimes that's an emotional support slug.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that when you give characters probably some of these deeper emotions that people understand immediately, like sadness and fear, or just like terror in a way, because Murph was terrified. It makes you understand the character almost more immediately than just trying to figure out like what he is, what substance he is, why does he eat things. It anthropomorphizes. Is that that's the big word of the day? Anthropomorphizes.
Spell it.
Character. Anthro, ANTHRO, MORPHIZES.
I'm gonna say that's correct.
It sounds good.
Someone will tell.
I mean, but you take like a cuddly creature like that, and you just see it at its base level, at its feelings, because that's something that we all can understand. And we understand when our pets, when our dear furries are in fear or hungry or tired or cranky, or want to scratch us, things like that. And we just have that. I guess it would be some type of nature versus nurture type of instinct, right?
I'm predicting that there will be a whole generation of cats and dogs named Murph after our rainbow frontier.
So many. Many. But yeah, I totally understand. I completely agree with what's going on with Gwen here. I think that she's going to start to crack soon.
Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait.
She's a good person. I really do think that there's good in her, as long as she's surrounded by goodness. Right? Yeah.
That's definitely that's your nurture side of it for sure.
Yeah. What you got next?
Ooh, so I'm gonna rearrange this thought, because we've been talking about Gwen quite a lot this episode, but to make a studio joke, I think this episode really teaches us that family is paramount.
Hey-o.
Hey, there you go. Paramount can I don't know, hire me anytime, whatever. Both Dal and Gwen have these projections around their parental relations, and even if you have great parents, everyone comes into conflict with their parents. Parents come into conflict with their children. It is an important thing, but it can also be a really damaging thing, like we've seen with the both of them. And I've said this, I think, every episode so far, but Star Trek loves a found family narrative, and I love watching it. And the way that they're spinning this, it just convinces me even more that Dal and Gwen are going to, and this is a long-term thing, but they are going to get together, and they are going to be, once because Janeway eventually, they will hologram Janeway. They will outstrip their need for training. And I think that they are poised to be the mother and father of this family, dare I say.
Dare you. I
do dare. I always dare. Don't you know?
I love it. I love the theory. I think that there's a lot leading to that. And maybe that's something that we can wrap up with here, because it's so interesting, like how much time you think you have when you're recording, and how much you'd like to get to, and how much you still need to get to. And we love talking. I love talking with Ashley. I could do this all day long. Unfortunately, we have a timer stuck on us.
You're my family, man. I mean that truly and honestly.
Oh, thanks, sis.
Yeah.
All right. Now you need to hug a Murph and share all this love. So wrapping this up. You know what? It's going to be really interesting to see like where this story goes, because as I said before, it's hard to kind of judge an entire episode and give my full thoughts on it when you know that there's going to be an episode or maybe two coming next. So I do love this episode, though, because of certain things that we got to see. We get to see so much more of every character with so very little actual screen time addressed to each character. But here's the thing, and I know that this is probably going to bore some of the younger viewers, and I'm sorry, but we just want to let you know that this is Star Trek Prodigy episode 4 that we're talking about. Next week is going to be episode 5, and then there's going to be a break from then until January 6th, 2020. I know. So are we going to end with a cliffhanger? And then, we ended with a cliffhanger. Are we going to end with another cliffhanger? Is that going to best of both worlds us times 2 come January 6th? That's going to be
Yes.
crazy. But maybe this is the way that they've structured the narratives here, because this could be the end of the Dal arc, right? And then we're going to go into the Gwen.
Ooh, Norman, that's so smart. I didn't even think of that.
You know, the show's so good, it kind of writes my own copy. It writes itself, really. But yeah, it could be the end of the Dal mini arc and going into the Gwen mini arc, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because we are starting to, you know, again, look past the veneer, as you said before, of this character. So we'll see what happens. Any final thoughts from you, Ashley?
Oh, I feel like this episode is simultaneously a really nice step forward, but also like we just cracked the end of the true pilot. I feel like now I have a great sense of who everyone is and where they're going. And I'm honestly just excited to see more. And I'm really mad. I was mad when I learned of this because it might shock people to learn. I knew about this break before this very moment. I was mad that we're going to have to wait till January. And now I'm extra mad because it's really, we're cooking with fire now.
Yeah,
we're
I
cooking
know.
with nacelles now. That definitely works.
Yeah, we're cooking with antimatter for sure. Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh, no.
No,
That's so dangerous.
no, that's really not the best analogy at all. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. So no, but we're moving at a very fast pace. And these episodes, even though that they're like 23 to 25 minutes, they just pack so much content into it. And not, you know, just the content of the story. We're talking like people are breaking down the backgrounds, people are breaking down the color palettes, the props, you know, the LCAR screens, everything, all of that in this little bite-sized Murph deliciousness, right?
Love them so much.
And that's the
I'm not
beauty
going
of
to
it,
assume
right?
their gender, but I think they might be beyond gender.
And it'll be amazing to see. And I don't know, maybe we'll get a little bit more reveal next episode. But until then, sadly, we've reached the end of our show. So thank you, everyone, for joining us here on Mission Log Prodigy. If you've enjoyed our show, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to our Mission Log Prodigy playlist here on the Roddenberry Entertainment YouTube channel, or find us on your podcast catcher of choice.
Mission Log Prodigy is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment, executive producer Rod Roddenberry. Our website and your opportunity to comment and connect with us is missionlogpodcast.com. And if you would like to support Mission Log directly, and why wouldn't you, you can do so at patreon.com/missionlog. Thank you, everyone, from the bottom of my heart for taking the time to be with us. And we look forward to sharing our thoughts and our squeeze with you in episode 5 next week. And now it's time for our very special incoming transmissions.
Receiving listener communications. Message playback begins.
Okay, what's your name, girls?
Jill, Colleen,
And how old are you?
9, 7.
And did you like Prodigy tonight?
Yes. Yeah.
Jill, what was your favorite part?
When he used his helmet for scooping the soup.
That was funny. How about you?
So like when those things were climbing on her.
On the girl?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jill, did you learn anything?
That you should instead of doing like what you want, you should take care of your friends first.
How about you, Colleen?
So like not to goof off everywhere and actually listen.
What's your name?
Colin.
And how old are you?
11.
Did you like the episode?
Yes.
What was your favorite part?
My favorite part was when the engineer got a fake food and started eating it.
Yeah, and he was really icky.
Yeah.
Actually. What did you learn from the episode?
You can't force someone to do something.
Like, to do what?
Like to do something or anything.
All right, once again, tell me your name.
Rook.
And how old are you, Rook?
6.
All right, Rook, what did you like the episode?
Yeah.
Yeah? What was your favorite part of the episode?
When they were driving and Zero thought like they were friendly.
They were friendly?
He keeps saying that's the most coolest after all, and
Zero kept talking about how cool the planet was and how interesting it was?
yeah.
Gotcha.
And when they got chased by it,
Yeah.
and Zero keeps saying, "Oh, it's not gonna eat us."
Okay, and did you learn anything from the episode?
Let's explain experts help you.
Let the experts help you?
Yeah.
They're still not really listening to Janeway, are they?
They should listen always to other people that is.
Priority transmission incoming. Message playback begins.
Hi, everyone. This is Norman Lau, co-host of Mission Log, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast, and this podcast, Mission Log Prodigy, with a very special message for all of you, and especially for our younger cadets in the audience. In this latest episode of Star Trek Prodigy, Dreamcatcher, the young crew members of the USS Protostar are given brand new phasers to take on their very first away mission, and Captain Janeway tells her cadets to only use them in case of an emergency. But Dal and Jank and Pog are too excited to try them out and pretend to shoot at invisible enemies, and in doing so, in all of the excitement, Jank and Pog accidentally shoots himself. Lucky for him, the phasers were set to stun. Now, the lesson here for our younger cadets, and a reminder for our older officers, is to never, ever, ever point a weapon of any kind at any living being, even if you are properly trained or have a reason to do so. Again, as Captain Janeway told her crew, only in case of an emergency. So the lesson here is, don't be like Jank and Pog, and remember to never do what he did. Thank you for listening, and thank you for all of your support as we continue to cover this amazing new series in the Star Trek universe for Roddenberry Entertainment.
This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.